What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Resident Evil gameplay for you. And today I'll be talking about an interview with Resident Evil Requiem's director, Koshi Nakanishi, and talking about something I've actually wanted to mention and bring up earlier for about a month or two. And this interview is a little bit old, but nonetheless, it brings up a really interesting topic because I have a little bit of mixed feelings and feelings all over the place regarding it. I'm just going to pay attention to this one thing because this has definitely been making the rounds and it's had a little bit of discussion online about it. And what makes it kind of intriguing and funny to me is while it starts out with someone asking a question basically when he's been interviewed about why did you choose Leon and not Chris, it turns into something else that you'll see right from the get-go. So I like to talk about all elements of this. But without further ado, let's get to the quote itself. Basically, someone was asking, why did you choose Leon and not Chris coming back? And this was the response we got. I think it's common experience with Resident Evil games where we don't exactly pick up the exact thread that was left on a previous game. Resident Evil 6 ended on a sort of tease of Jake, the character from the game, possibly seeing where he might go next, and then Resident Evil 7 was a totally different protagonist, for example. So there's a lot of parallel threads in motion, and I think we were just choosing where we're going to focus on our spotlight at a given time. Doesn't mean those other characters aren't out there somewhere sort of getting on with business, but we're just not showing you just yet. So although at the end of the village, we saw ChrisRedfield with the BSAA in action, we decided to return to the more general mainline story of the series for this entry. So it's looking towards Raccoon City and kind of, after so many years not having seen this location, catch up on where we're at with that and picking that up as the main thread. So rest assured that I'm sure Chris is out there in action somewhere in the world, but as of now, we're not really looking at him and we're looking at somewhere else. And that's the end of the quote. Now, I want to say one thing before I get into this, is that this doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. It depends on how you want to interpret it. I guess your experience with Capcom, because I can see it both ways. What I just find funny is, I guess maybe I take this as more of a bad thing. Yeah, I mean, it could be good depending on what Capcom decides to do in the future, but just going on the track record, I wouldn't hold my breath. But this could possibly be meaning that, hey, maybe they're finally acknowledging that, hey, we have a lot of things that we have left unchecked, untouched, a lot of unresolved plot threads. Obviously, the big one most people bring up is the BSAA and how we just completely just pretended that's not a big deal and just went into something else, or the whole Alex Wesker thing in Revelations 2, just to say the least. There's other plot threads that need to be addressed or something like that, but you get the point. Maybe it's them finally acknowledging that, hey, maybe we should be locking up these threads and stop making more, because just imagine if Requiem ends and it's just another cliffhanger or big plot point. They're just like, okay, are they going to leave that unresolved? Because that's the most important thing here. We want unresolved things resolved. And I get not every single thing is going to have the attention or time to do it, but in this case, some things you just can't leave untouched. And while I'm willing to accept for now that some of these things that we want to know about probably aren't going to be answered in this next new game, I would like to know in the future that they will be resolved. But here's the thing. The way they say it, hey, just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it's not happening elsewhere, maybe a little bit later in the timeline. Maybe it's already happened. We just haven't personally seen it. Now, regardless of how they want to do it, I've heard a lot of people speculate that they're going to be going maybe backwards in a timeline and maybe at the same point in time, just different perspectives and viewpoints of what they're going to do for future new Resident Evil games. But that's just pure speculation at this point. My thing is this. I just like a resolution. I've never seen a franchise have so many just cliffhanger big plot points just left unchecked. Like, I get it for maybe a franchise that had something like that, but they just went under because they're not around, they're not making enough money, revenue. But clearly that's not the case for this franchise, as it's selling more than it's ever had before in its entire history, and it seems like that's only going to get greater as the franchise moves forward. But I digress. I can understand from that point of view, but Resident Evil, it just makes little to no sense. Now, where I take it personally a little bit is the fact that I've always been very leery of Capcom. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people who say, hey, they've been cooking, they've been doing great things, and I'm not saying the quality of their games is terrible. I'm just talking about resolving plot threads, story elements, stuff like that. That's where they've always had problems. And the gameplay is fun, no questions asked, but it's just resolving simple things. My thing I've always asked is, if you know you're going to do these things, why do them in the first place? Like, why would I, if I'm developing a game, be like, hey, you know what? We're going to have this game end on this plot thread, but we know there's a 9 times out of 10 chance we're not going to resolve it in the future. Which begs the question, why do it in the first place? I mean, and the thing is, it hasn't slowed the franchise up. It's not like this is the reason why people can't stand the franchise. People are obviously extremely invested in it. But it's just frustrating to a lot of diehard fans that things like this just aren't answered. And maybe one day they will be answered. But why I'm really, I guess, hesitant to say this is a good thing is seeing is believing. And since this isn't the first time Capcom has done this, I'm more like, hey, can we... I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So, but there's one other tidbit about this that's really kind of got me annoyed. And I know a lot of fans will definitely agree with this, because I've seen a lot of people already pointing this out too. It's kind of funny how the question was, why did you pick Leon, not Chris? But a decent amount of people I've seen kind of get a little annoyed by it, saying, why is it always so Leon, Chris-centric? And why, like so many other characters who would probably be more obvious candidates for seeing them again in a brand new adventure, continue to get, basically no love. But what makes it even more astounding is the fact that the director actually mentioned Jake, of all people. And I was like, oh my God, Jake? He actually mentioned Jake, the plot thread of Resident Evil 6 Jake. Like, that's actually acknowledged. I'm not saying that means, oh my God, they're going to bring him back. Jake and all, but like Jake actually got a mention. So in talking about why did you pick Leon, not Chris, the director uses an example of Jake, of all things. He doesn't use other more present characters, and maybe it's just me being paranoid, but it's just kind of astounding, right? Like, there's a lot of obvious answers people have wanted to see, and hopefully in a brand new adventure we can see them with, obviously Jill or Claire or, other characters. They're the big two you hear the most, but you get my point. I like to see them in brand new adventures and stuff like that. But it's just weird how it's just like, even to this day, it's like that's the only ones that they can do, or they just have a brand new character, which, once again, we have no idea if they're actually going to be a long-lasting character or just another one-and-done scenario, since that's something that would be very common in this franchise. But, yeah, it's an interview that I can see people taking it as a good way. I can also see people taking it as a bad one. I think this comes down to your experience with Capcom. If you're more a newer fan, you probably may be a lot more excited for this. But if you're an older fan, I could definitely see you being a little bit more hesitant and cautious, because we've heard this song and dance before, and as I always like to say, a lot of things sound good on paper, but until you actually apply it, doesn't always work out the way you hope it does. But hopefully I made my points clear and concise. But at the end of the day, as I always like to say, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. How do you feel about this in terms of Capcom acknowledging that they have a lot of loose ends they have yet to tie up, and that possibly it might be something that's happening right now, they just haven't shown it yet? Do you think they'll ever showcase, loose ends being tied up, like the BSAA or Alex Wesker for that example? And are you kind of weirded out that of all the things they're mentioning, it's always so Chris Leon centric, and they actually mention Jake of all things? Does that make you kind of weirded out, or just kind of maybe mistrust or get annoyed by Capcom even more? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all later. Peace.